We're live, baby. We are live. Week 12. A quarter of the teams have already played. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? 8 teams off the board already. Studs like Tyreek Hill played. Christian McCaffrey played. That's all right. We still got plenty of teams to talk about, plenty of players to talk about. And the fantasy football playoffs, are right around the corner. So this is crunch time. This is we gotta go. Some of us are locked in. We're just trying to, maybe clinch the number 1 seed, or, win the regular season championship, or, gear our teams up to win titles, to win in the fantasy football playoffs. Others are still trying to even get into the show. We're just trying to get into the tournament. Because we all know, once you get into the tournament, anybody has a chance. Everybody has a chance at that point. So week 12, week 13, week 14, this is crunch time. This is go time. This is must-win time. So it's extra important that we get these start-sit questions correct. So that's what we're here to do today. And hopefully we'll give you some good answers, and we'll get you through it. As I always tell the TikTok audience, if you want me to guarantee that I'm going to answer your questions, hop over to YouTube, find Yards Per Fantasy on YouTube. You can just find the link right in my TikTok bio. Come on over, guarantee we will answer your questions over here. Let's get this one. Hope you have a good holiday weekend. Right back at you. It was a great one, really, honestly, great. Thanksgiving was fantastic. We always go back for leftovers the next day, so we really have 2 Thanksgivings, which is awesome. And then on top of that, I get to take even more leftovers home to have for dinner last night. I got some more to have for dinner tonight. I just love it. My favorite holiday by far. I ate myself to this close to being sick, but that's just the perfect level. This close. Don't go over the edge. Just get right to that line. Don't cross it. It was fantastic. But I hope you all enjoyed your holiday as well. Josh Downs or James Cook, half PPR. I think James Cook is a safer play. But man, I talked about it a lot on last night's show. I want every player I can possibly get from the Colts and Buccaneers game and from the Jaguars and Texans game. Those games are going to be the shootouts of the day. At least one of those games is going to shoot out where both teams are scoring over 30 points, which means tons of fantasy points for us, tons of passing. So I want to play Josh Downs. In this question, I'm going to play Josh Downs over James Cook. I think Downs could have a really good game. I think he's fully healed up from that knee injury that he had before the bye week. The bye week was probably just in time for that, for him to heal up, get ready. I'm going to play Josh Downs over James Cook. Delagizi, we've seen him on the coach approach a lot. Fortunately, those guys weren't able to go today, but they do a fantastic show. They'll be back next week. Stash Pierce or A.T. Perry? Is this Damian Pierce? Is this Alec Pierce? If it's Damian Pierce, we're certainly going to stash Damian Pierce. If it's Alec Pierce, this could also be, there's a few Pierces. If it's Alec Pierce, we're certainly stashing A.T. Perry over him. I think it's over as far as, fantasy potential for Alec Pierce. But A.T. Perry he's got a little juice there. You could, something could happen with A.T. Perry. He's not a bad prospect coming out. Pretty solid guy. So I would stash A.T. Perry. But let me know if that's not which Pierce that is. Let me know which Pierce that is. If it's Damian, we're taking Damian. It's Damian. Okay. So AT definitely has a ceiling. I think he does. Yeah, I do. I agree with you. But if we're talking like for this year, I don't really see much happening there. I know Michael Thomas is out, but it's still Derek Carr. They still have Chris Olave there. Taysom Hill's going to still take a lot of touches. Alvin Kamara. I just don't think there's enough in that offense to be like, all right, we're going to get usable weeks from A.T. Perry this year where we are going to start him for those weeks. You know what I mean? Like, we're never going to feel comfortable starting A.T. Perry in 2023. Now, if it's Dynasty, I'm still taking Dameon Pierce, but we can definitely have a lot more of a conversation about A.T. Perry. I'm definitely interested in stashing A.T. Perry in Dynasty leagues. But if you can stash him in a deep redraft league, do it. But if you're choosing between Dameon Pierce and A.T. Perry, probably not that deep of a league. So I would still go Dameon, because Dameon Pierce, I know he hasn't played well this year, but Dameon Pierce is in a good offense. He's in a good offense. We saw him have success last year. If anything happens to Devin Singletary or Dameon Pierce gets his shit together and he starts actually playing well, he could be an RB2 for us. I don't think A.T. Perry can get to that level this year. Let's get to this one from Woody the Badger. Great name. Full PPR. Calvin Ridley or Nico Collins? Yeah, this is a good question here. This is a tough one. I think we're going to lean Nico Collins, but man, it's really hard to sit Calvin Ridley after last week. I love the matchup. But I love the game environment. Obviously, they're playing against each other. It's one of these games that I have circled this week that could get to a shootout, which is what we want for fantasy football. So I'd love to start them both. If I had to choose, I'm probably going to go Nico Collins. I just feel better about his role in his quarterback, honestly. Sorry, Zach, if you're watching. Let's get this one from Sleepy. Sleepy's just saying good morning. Sleepy's awesome. We love Sleepy. Big fan of the show. We're a big fan of Sleepy. He does have a question here, and then we'll get to Q's question. I don't mean to skip that one. Last minute question from Sleepy. Chris Godwin or Hollywood Brown at the flex? Feels like a coin flip. Also, Hollywood is expected to play. Yeah, he is. But yeah, I think you're right. Just take out that quarter and flip it, man. At this point, between those two guys, I probably am going to go Hollywood Brown if I had to choose. I do have him ranked ahead, but in 2 games, I mean, we were buying low on Marquise Brown, anticipating Kyler Murray coming back, right? Because of how well those two played together last year. And Marquise Brown had a few games earlier this year, even with Josh Dobbs, but we were really excited about Kyler Murray coming back for Marquise Brown. And it's been nothing but duds for 2 straight weeks. But it's a solid matchup, and it is a game that does have a little bit of shootout potential. One of the higher over-unders on the slate today. But man, that I feel the same way about the Buccaneers and Colts game. I really think that game could shoot out. But Hollywood Brown is the wide receiver 1 in his offense, where Chris Godwin is not. At least in theory, Hollywood Brown is. So I think we'll lean that way. We'll go with Hollywood Brown. But yeah, flip a coin. Yeah, just back to Dameon Pierce versus Devin Singletary real quick. I do think you're right. There is a little bit of an unknown of what's going to happen now that Dameon Pierce is back healthy versus how well Devin Singletary's been playing. But my expectation, and I talked about this on last night's show as well, but my expectation is that Devin Singletary has been like an 80% snap share guy over the last 3 or so weeks with Pierce out. I think probably that comes down to 60%. I think this is still going to be a heavy Devin Singletary backfield, especially this week. Yeah, but there's definitely a chance Dameon Pierce ends up with a bigger role. So, but anyway, been playing fantasy since 2020, but what the hell is a dynasty? Sleepy, we got to get you in some dynasty leagues, man. We got to get you. You don't take, like, right now you're playing redraft leagues. That's what you've been doing. And you play from what? You draft in August, you play September, October, November, December, and then you're done. You don't draft again until August, right? Dynasty, we are playing 12 months a year, 52 weeks a year, trading, free agency. We got rookie drafts. We are scouting these rookie players coming out. Hit us up in the Discord. We'll get you in some Dynasty leagues. Yeah, I highly, highly recommend Dynasty. If you love fantasy football and you find yourself engaged in fantasy football for the duration of the calendar year, you will love Dynasty. Dynasty will change fantasy football for you. I promise. I barely play in redraft leagues anymore because I'm just in all Dynasty leagues. I love them. And it's an addiction because you're building your team for year in, year out, beyond this year. And you're making trades in the off season. You're trading draft picks. You're scouting these rookies. We can talk about this later, but I love Dynasty, and I really think if you're this passionate, you're jumping in to these shows week in, week out. You obviously are very passionate about fantasy football like we are. I believe you would love it. Yeah, we can talk about that more later. Let's get this question from John. And I just want to remind the TikTok audience, if you want to come over to the Yards Per Fantasy YouTube channel, just find Yards Per Fantasy on YouTube. Link is in the bio. Guarantee I'll get to your question over on the YouTube channel. So come on over. We're live all the way up till kickoff. We go live right up to 1 o'clock. Get this one from John. He's asking Demario Douglas or Josh Downs full PPR. This one's pretty easy for me because Demario Douglas, he doesn't give you a ceiling, right? Demario Douglas, we have Mac Jones as his quarterback. It sounds like they might platoon quarterbacks a little bit today. With Mac Jones starting, mix in a little bit of Bailey Zappi, it's going to be a weird situation. I don't know if that's actually going to happen, but there are reports that could happen. Either way, it really doesn't matter. The quarterback play in New England is going to be terrible. So there's really no ceiling for a guy like Demario Douglas. He can get you there. He can give you 5 catches for 50 yards. Maybe, sure. What are we doing with that? Where that feels like the floor for Josh Downs, as long as he's fully healthy. Josh Downs, especially in this game environment that he's going to get today against the Buccaneers, there's going to be a lot of points scored in that game. It's going to be a track show. Could be a really big Josh Downs game. I'm going to play him pretty easily over Demario Douglas. Get this one from Gerald. What's up, Gerald? Great to see you back in here again today. We're going Jalen Warren or Joe Mixon. Ooh, this one. Man, this one's tough, man. This one's tough. I think we got to go Joe Mixon, but it's really hard. It's honestly hard to make that call. Especially there's a report this morning, which I usually take those types of reports with a grain of salt, but report today that, Jalen Warren's going to get more opportunities in that backfield. Now, I'm looking at the running back rankings. My running back rankings for this week, and I have them ranked back to back. I do have Joe Mixon at RB26, Jalen Warren at RB27. Now, Joe Mixon is going to have to get there on pure volume, right? With Jake Browning as the quarterback, they're going to rely on the run game and rely on Joe Mixon a lot more than they would with a Joe Burrow. That also brings the efficiency and the explosiveness of the offense down as well. Probably less red zone opportunities, less goal line opportunities, but Joe Mixon could see, a 20 carry game. He could see, 5 targets. But Jalen Warren's definitely going to give you more of a ceiling because we saw last week this guy can rip off a 70-yard run. When was the last time you saw Joe Mixon rip off a 70-yard run? It's just not his game. It's not his thing. He's more of, the Le'Veon Bell type. You know what I mean? Like he's kind of methodically work through the blocking, just trying to get to the next level. He's not a guy who is bouncing it outside or ripping off, an 80-yard run like a Jalen Warren can. So I know I have Joe Mixon ranked ahead, but right now, in this moment, in the gut, I think I'm going to tell you to play Jalen Warren. Jalen Warren, here's the deal. If you want the ceiling play, Jalen Warren's your guy. If you want the floor play, the safer play, Joe Mixon's your guy. Whichever one you prefer there. That's how I would play it. And I usually lean ceiling, so I think I'm probably going to play Jalen Warren. Josh Dobbs. Josh Dobbs versus Trevor Lawrence. Mm. Mm-mm-mm. So I've talked about how I think Texans versus Jaguars could become a shootout. I think there's a sneaky chance that Bears Vikings could become a shootout as well. Josh Dobbs played really well. I do have them both ranked as QB1s this week. I have Josh Dobbs one spot ahead of Trevor Lawrence. He's my QB 11. Trevor Lawrence is my QB 12. So this is kind of, once again, take your pick. This one could go really could go either way. But if I had to choose, I'm probably going to play Josh Dobbs. I'm going to play Josh Dobbs over Trevor Lawrence, but it's this close. It's this close. I do like Trevor this week. Sleepy, back to the dynasty question. What the hell? Free agency, draft picks. Yes, got it all, man. We got it all. Sounds interesting. Might have to look into that because I always wish they had draft picks and redrafts. Yeah. You can trade your draft picks and you're preparing for your drafts. Like, we spend months. Yards per fantasy, we put out a rookie draft guide with scouting reports on all the rookies, all our rankings, and so forth. We have rookie grades, so it's a pretty big deal. And then I make videos for pretty much every rookie prospect I can get my hands on throughout the off season. So definitely make sure you subscribe to the channel. I know you're already subscribed, but anybody else who's interested in Dynasty, that's what we do once the season ends. We're going to be talking rookie prospects all the way up and through the NFL draft. But anyway, let's get to Keegan. Start Josh Downs, Calvin Ridley, or Jalen Warren. We did just talk about Jalen Warren. I do like Jalen Warren today. And I actually like all three of these guys this week. I think they all can get there for us. But I think I'm going to play one of the wide receivers. And I do have Calvin Ridley ranked just ahead of Josh Downs. They're both, kind of mid-range wide receiver threes for me this week, but both have ceilings. I think both of these guys could get to back-end wide receiver 1 weeks if they hit their ceiling today. I'm going to give the slight edge to Calvin Ridley, though, here. I'm going to go Calvin Ridley. CJ Stroud or Jalen Hurts. Yeah, I'm going to play Jalen Hurts here. As much as we love CJ Stroud, as much as I love the game environment that I expect is going to happen today with the Jaguars and the Texans, we got to play Jalen Hurts. We're not benching Jalen Hurts, right? We're not doing that. What's up, Jessica? Welcome back. I know you were here last week as well. Glad to see you back in here. Full PPR, Tank Dell, Adam Thielen, Cooper Kupp, Drake London. Let's start 2 of these guys. For me, we're definitely going to go Cooper Kupp. I know things have been down for Cooper Kupp lately, and he's battling an injury still. But if Cooper Kupp's playing, I think we got to trust him. It's Cooper Kupp, right? We got to trust him because nothing is worse than leaving Cooper Kupp or a guy of his caliber on your bench, kind of overthinking it a little bit, and then he goes off. That's painful. I'd rather have Cooper Kupp, and I know maybe this is crazy. I'd rather have Cooper Kupp in my lineup and he does nothing than to have him on my bench and watch him explode. So we're definitely going Cooper Kupp. And then it's pretty close for me between Tank Dell and Adam Thielen, but I'm going to go Tank Dell. I just like his explosiveness, his big playability a lot more than Adam Thielen, who has to get there on pure volume with a bad quarterback and a bad offense. So yeah, I'm going to play Tank Dell. Like I talked about earlier, I do believe Texans, Jaguars could produce a lot of points, both real life and in fantasy. Today, I think that game could be a shootout. So I think Tank Dell, if that happens, Tank Dell is going to be a big part of that, right? So he's your explosive, high ceiling guy. Also, I think gives you a pretty decent floor, even with Nico Collins in the lineup. Noah Brown's still out, so that's going to help things for Tank Dell as well. So yeah, we'll go Cooper Kupp and then a slight edge of Dell over Thielen. Those are the two guys I would start. Let's get this one from Andrew. Should I start Bijan Robinson or Puka Nacua in a PPR league? Yes. Can we play them both? Please? Yeah, if I had to choose here, I am going to play Bijan. I'm going to play Bijan. We did see Arthur Smith crank the dials up slightly prior to the bye week, right? A little bit more Bijan, which was great to see. And I think if he keeps working those dials, maybe he, turned them way up during the bye week. Maybe Arthur Blank came into his office like, we drafted this guy 8th overall. You better fucking use him, or you're out of here. So maybe that happened. Probably not, but wishful thinking, right? Yeah, I'm gonna play Bijan there, but can't go wrong with Puka. Puka is probably a mid to low wide receiver 2 for me this week. But if I had to choose, I'm going Bijan. Already started Jamar and Keenan's. I can play both. Sadly, already started Brees Hall. Yeah, Brees was kind of a dud, but that's what you get in these bad offenses, man. Unfortunately, you can have all the talent in the world, but if you have a bad, inefficient offense, you're gonna have games like this. And this is my fear with Saquon Barkley. And I know, my take on him last week, face planted in the mud, but I still kind of feel the same way about Saquon. Like Tommy DeVito, more often than not, is not going to produce games that he had last week. They went against the Commanders. I feel like I could throw for 300 yards against the Commanders. Not really, but so yeah, it's tough with Brees, tough with Saquon. These terrible offenses, even if they're getting the volume, it's a tough. I don't know the word I'm looking for, but it's tough, man. It's too early for this shit. Let's get this one from Jim. PPR, I need a running back and a flex. I'm gonna go James Cook, Jalen Warren, or Chris Godwin. Yeah, this one is tough. Yeah, I don't need a running back and a flex. Okay, so let's focus on running back to start. So it's James Cook first, Jalen Warren. I'm going to pull up the running back rankings. We just talked about Jalen Warren a few minutes ago. I like Jalen Warren a little bit this week. Coming off explosive run last week, and then we got a report this morning saying that he's going to get more opportunities. Like I did say, I kind of take those last minute Sunday morning reports with a grain of salt because more often than not, they actually don't come true, especially when they're coming from Ian Rappaport. But I am going to give the slight edge. I'm looking at my rankings, slight edge to Jalen Warren over James Cook today. And then it comes down to James Cook versus Chris Godwin. That's tough. Because I think they both have low floors. But James Cook going against the Eagles defense, very, very difficult matchup. Eagles are really tough against the run. But I think that Buccaneers Colts game, I keep saying it. I'm going to keep saying it. I think that game is going to score a lot of points, which means that we should get a usable game from Chris Godwin today. If that Buccaneers Colts game is going to produce a lot of points, it's going to produce a lot of fantasy points, which should get Chris Godwin at least a usable week. Maybe gets in the end zone. So I'm going to go Chris Godwin over James Cook. So we're going Jalen Warren at the running back position, Chris Godwin in the flex. I think that gives you the highest ceiling outcome opportunity here. Let's get Brady, Rashid Shaheed, or Taysom Hill, PPR. I'm going to go Taysom Hill. We're going to go Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill just feels like Taysom Hill has more of a reliable role at this point, which is kind of crazy maybe I don't know. Do we like that? I don't know. But we're probably going Taysom Hill because he's getting there one way or another, right? He's getting running back opportunities. He's catching passes. He's throwing passes. He's all over the field, scoring touchdowns at a ridiculous rate. And Rashid Shaheed relies a lot more on Derek Carr. And we're relying on Derek Carr. I don't feel super great about that, especially when he's the secondary option in that offense now with no Michael Thomas. And Rashid Shaheed has to get there on like a long pass. That's his game. He needs to catch a 50-yarder for you. Whereas Taysom Hill can just take in a 1-yard carry for a touchdown, and he can get there for you. So I'm going to go Taysom Hill there. Let's get Richard, full PPR. Cooper Kupp, Adam Thielen. I am going to go Cooper Kupp here. We're going to play Cooper Kupp. I feel pretty good about that. Like I talked about earlier, Jessica, I would hate to put Cooper Kupp on my bench and then have him go off. And we know Cooper Kupp can do that at any moment. And Adam Thielen, he's been consistent. He's still a good play. I have him ranked at like my wide receiver 16 or so. So he's a solid mid-tier wide receiver 2. But I don't think his ceiling is anywhere close to what Cooper Kupp could get to. So we're going to play Cooper Kupp. What's up, Dame Walker? Welcome into the show as usual. Great to see you here, man. We'll get to your question, and then we'll go back to Andrew's question. I think I asked this before, but who is the better playoff PPR stash? Miles Sanders, Ty Chandler, or Dameon Pierce? So I think we talked about this last night. I don't know if it was, I believe it was you that asked this question. Without Miles Sanders, though, it was just Ty Chandler versus Dameon Pierce, I believe. Maybe somebody asked that. I want to say it was you. Ty Chandler versus Dameon Pierce. I don't remember the conclusion that we came to, but I think we went Dameon Pierce. But I do love Ty Chandler. I think, honestly, realistically, I think I would take both of those guys over Miles Sanders, because even though Miles Sanders might currently have the better role of the 3, what is Miles Sanders' ceiling really right now in the Panthers offense with Bryce Young? Like, even if Chuba Hubbard went down, like, what are we really getting from Miles Sanders? I mean, it's hard to, I don't know if you have to drop a guy or whatever, but it would be hard to drop Miles Sanders just knowing that, one, he's Miles Sanders and that he could end up as the RB1 in that offense. But it still feels gross. I still think it would be between Dameon Pierce and Ty Chandler for me. I want to say Dameon Pierce, but we've seen Dameon Pierce already this year, and he hasn't given us a whole lot. I think if we're playing pure ceiling, it's Ty Chandler. If you want to be a little bit safer but still have a ceiling, it's Dameon Pierce. If you want to just play the absolute floor play, it's Miles Sanders. But I think Ty Chandler could take over that backfield eventually. Probably not, but he could. But more realistically, if Alexander Madison goes down and Ty Chandler steps in, that's a guy that I want. I would be the most excited. If you think about Chuba Hubbard going down and Miles Sanders becoming the clear 1, Devin Singletary going down and Dameon Pierce becoming the clear 1, or Alexander Madison going down and Ty Chandler becoming the clear 1, Ty Chandler is absolutely the guy I'd be the most excited about. He's got the all-purpose skill set. He's the most explosive of the bunch. And he's in a quality offense. I know Pierce is as well, but we've seen enough of Pierce this year that I think we can say that something's just not right with Dameon Pierce compared to what we saw from him last year. So give me Ty Chandler. Ty Chandler's the answer for me. We finally got there. Took some work, but we got there. I'm going to go Ty Chandler. I feel good about that one. I know we skipped over a question from Andrew. Let's get to this one real quick. Start Chris Olave or Josh Jacobs against the Chiefs. Full PPR. Chiefs defense has been really good. Really good. But I'm still going to play Josh Jacobs over Chris Olave. Just pure volume. And he doesn't have to rely on Derek Carr to get him the football. Right? He just has to rely on the offensive coordinator to say, you know what, we're going to hand the ball off to Josh Jacobs. Yeah, to not have to rely on Derek Carr, I feel good about that. I do like Chris Olave. Don't get me wrong. I'm a huge Chris Olave guy. Huge Chris Olave guy. I'm waiting. I'm still waiting. It's going to happen. It's going to happen at some point. But I definitely want to play Josh Jacobs over him. Andrew's got another question here. Pick 2, full PPR. Adam Thielen, Chris Olave, Josh Jacobs. So we've already taken Josh Jacobs over Olave. And I also have Olave over Thielen, just based on the ceiling of the two. So we're still going to go Josh Jacobs there. Yeah. I have them ranked as Jacobs, Olave, Thielen, based on a combination of floor and ceiling. If you want just the floor, it is still Jacobs. Then I would probably play Thielen over Olave. But I always lean ceiling in those situations. Now let's take a look at Dame Walker's team here. This is a 12-team PPR. He's got Josh Allen and Gardner Minshew as quarterbacks. I'm going to assume this is a 1-quarterback league. Josh Allen, Minshew, Josh Jacobs, Bijan Robinson, Brian Robinson, Ty Chandler, Tyreek Hill, Mike Evans, Zay Flowers, T. Higgins. I feel sad about T. Higgins, but I did draft a decent amount of T. Higgins as well, unfortunately. Michael Wilson, love the Michael Wilson stash. Absolutely love that. Yes, with Michael Wilson. Yes. Curtis Samuel, Evan Ingram, Tanner fucking Hudson, which I think Tanner Hudson is probably dead now that Joe Burrow is out, unfortunately. You could say the same about T. Higgins. I think T. Higgins is dead. I think Tanner Hudson is dead. I think the only guy who's still alive in the Cincinnati passing offense is probably just Jamar Chase at this point. But yeah, this is a really good team. This is a really, really good team because I think Josh Jacobs is going to give you a ton of volume every single week. He might not have the ceiling that he gave us last year, but he's going to give you volume. He's going to give you, at worst, RB2 production every single week. Josh Allen, we know his ceiling. We know what he can do. And with his running ability, he's got a pretty high floor as well, even with the turnovers and such. Bijan Robinson, I still think Bijan Robinson is going to end up as a league winner. We're seeing Arthur Smith cranking up the dials a little bit here over the last couple of weeks. I think that's going to continue. And the playoff schedule, the fantasy football playoff schedule for Bijan Robinson is quite friendly. I don't remember who it is, but I know I talked about it on a video a few weeks ago, saying that it was time to go buy Bijan Robinson. And a big part of that was because of I like the playoff schedule. Brian Robinson has been blowing my mind. He's been playing really well for the most part. I don't think he did much on Thanksgiving. I was a little distracted during that game, so I don't remember. But for the most part, Brian Robinson has also been a productive running back for us, and he's actually catching some passes too, which is wild. He's going to be kind of an up and down guy, but not bad as your RB3 for sure. Ty Chandler, we just talked about him. We obviously know what Tyreek Hill and Mike Evans are doing this year. Zay Flowers is going to have to step up now with Mark Andrews out for the rest of the year, and I think he will. And then, like I said, T. Higgins is dead. Michael Wilson, fantastic stash. I think he's the long-term wide receiver 1 in Arizona. As soon as he gets healthy, I think we'll start to see some more productive weeks from him. Curtis Samuel, not a bad depth guy. Probably replacement level guy, but not terrible as a bench guy. Ingram, as consistent as it gets at tight end. So, Yeah, that's a great roster. I think you got a chance with that team for sure. Absolutely. Oh, I didn't even see you say that, but I agree. I agree. Um, yeah, I think at this point, even if T. Higgins gets healthy, I think it's probably over for this year for him. I just think for Jake Browning, it's going to be tunnel vision for Jamar Chase. Um, we see it with these backup quarterbacks. They just don't distribute the ball to the secondary options like the starting quarterback does, unfortunately. Drake London or Odell Beckham Jr., standard league. I'm still going to play Drake London. I'm going to play Drake London here. I want to see more from Odell Beckham. I know he's banged up as well, but I need to see more from Odell Beckham before I can trust him week to week. And I know Drake London is about as inconsistent as it gets, but we've seen him have some good weeks this year. So we're going to go Drake London. Yeah, good luck today to you as well, Dame Walker. Appreciate you tuning in as always. Great supporter of the brand here. I really appreciate you. As is Andrew here. Swift or Bijan Robinson full PPR. This one, I think I'm gonna go DeAndre Swift over Bijan. Just in a better offense, better environment. The Bills are pretty bad defensively because of all the injuries. They're pretty susceptible to running back, so I think this could be a nice not Damian Pierce, DeAndre Swift game. So I think they're both solid plays this week, but I feel a lot better playing DeAndre Swift this week. All right, we got 2 minutes. So if you got any questions left, drop them in here in the Yards for Fantasy YouTube channel. We've also got a bunch of questions coming in through TikTok as well. So while we're waiting for more YouTube questions, we will go rapid fire through these questions on TikTok as well. I do appreciate everybody who tunes into these. From Andre Stevenson or Gus Edwards, I'm going to play Gus Edwards, Demario Douglas, or Josh Downs. We had this question earlier. Definitely Josh Downs for sure. He gives you a much higher ceiling. Nico Collins or Jamar Chase. I'm still going to play Jamar Chase. Stroud or Trevor Lawrence. We're going to go CJ Stroud. I do think they're both QB1s this week, but I'm going to go Stroud. DJ Moore, Isaiah Pacheco, or Kyron Williams. I do think it's going to be a big Pacheco week. but I think I probably lean DJ Moore in a PPR league. DeAndre Hopkins, Rashid Shaheed, Najee Harris, PPR. I think we got to go DeAndre Hopkins there. Deontay Johnson or Cortland Sutton. Give me Cortland Sutton. Jalen Warren or Rachaad White. We're definitely going Rachaad White. I think as long as Rachaad White's good to go, and which he is, he's active. I haven't heard any reports about him being limited or anything. I think it's just a little bit of a scare, I think was the report last night. Rachaad White was a scare. He's fine. We're playing Rachaad White. Wheels up for him. I think it's going to be a big game for Rachaad White this week. Adam Thielen or Mike Evans. Give me Mike Evans for sure. Ridley, Gus, or Kupp for the flex. Give me Cooper Kupp. Josh Downs from Andre Stevenson. We're going to go Josh Downs. At least for the ceiling play. If you want the floor plays from Andre. Gus Edwards or Zay Flowers. Give me Gus Edwards. Let's go Gus. Tank Dell or Jamar Chase. If I have to choose between those guys, I'm going to go Jamar Chase, but I do like Tank Dell a lot this week. Pickens, Khalil Herbert, Keaton Mitchell for the flex. Give me Khalil Herbert. And it's 1 o'clock. It's 1 o'clock. That means we are wrapped up. Check out our YouTube channel for more content coming out later in the week. And everything we're doing at yardsforfantasy.com. Download the Yards for Fantasy app. I really appreciate everybody who tunes into these. Really means a lot to me and to our entire team. So thank you guys, and we'll see you soon.